In this video, I'm going to demonstrate how to draw and shade a pumpkin using colored pencils. First, sometimes when I do a colored pencil drawing, I like to create a nice frame or border around my drawing space using art tape or masking tape. If you choose to do this, just make sure, if using masking tape, to touch the tape or put it onto your clothing to de-stick it a little bit, because you will want to take the tape off when you're finished. Now for colored pencils, we're only going to need a few colors for this drawing. The colors you're going to need are yellow, orange, blue, green, red, and possibly white and dark blue. Notice you are not going to need black or even brown. Now to begin drawing the pumpkin, using a pencil, very lightly draw a loose circle. And mark where the stem is. It's going to begin a little bit lower than the top of the circle. And for the stem, you can draw a cylinder that is either straight or bent. Now to show the form of the pumpkin and to make it look textured, we're going to need to draw some lines that are bent vertical lines from the stem at the top down to the center of the bottom of the pumpkin. Notice how on the left side these lines are bending towards the left, and on the right side they're bending towards the right. Imagine these lines wrapping around the contour of the sphere of the pumpkin, going from the stem on the top to the center of the bottom. Try to connect these lines at the top and the bottom as well with an additional curved line so that you're creating the look of an actual bump in the form of the pumpkin. Now after that, I'm going to draw a cast shadow on the right side of the bottom of the pumpkin. I'm also adding a bit of a ridge to that bottom of the cast shadow to show that that ridged form of the shadow is appearing in the cast shadow as well. Now we're ready to start coloring. The main three colors we're going to use are yellow, orange, and blue. So to begin, using yellow, color in the entire pumpkin and stem with a light layer of yellow. And hopefully when you do your drawing, you'll draw a little bit lighter with pencil and you won't have to worry about it smearing like mine is. Next, you're going to layer on orange on top of the yellow. And as you're coloring, if you look at a picture of a real pumpkin and you see where the highlights are, you can leave some more yellow showing in areas that you want to be lighter. After that, start layering in an additional layer of orange, pressing a little bit more firmly in areas that you want to get a bit darker. Now, these aren't shadows yet. We're just really working with the mid-tone still, trying to develop that main color that you see in the pumpkin, the orange, but just adding more orange in areas that are a bit darker. Following orange, we're actually going to use blue to create shadows. Blue and orange are complementary colors, so when they mix together, they're going to form a really nice brown, which is going to be the perfect color for shading. Also, shadows tend to be on the blue side, so using blue on an orange pumpkin is just the perfect color to create these realistic looking shadows. Using a photograph, I was able to see where a pumpkin was actually looking like it needed the biggest core shadows and where I could develop more using the blue. I used blue completely to fill in the cast shadow first with just a light layer. By layering back and forth now on my pumpkin between the blue and the orange, you can see that the colors mixing and creating this really interesting, darker, brownish color. Once you have your highlights, mid-tones, and a core shadow on your pumpkin, you can begin to dance back and forth between that yellow, orange, and blue to layer the pencils and create more interesting dimensions. You can also add some green into your stem or just mix the yellow and blue together to create your own green if you don't have a green pencil. And then red can be a really nice addition into your pumpkin as well, especially if you see some red in a pumpkin that you're actually looking at or in a photo. Next, no matter what color of paper you're working on, it looks a lot better and brings out your highlights more if you get rid of that space in the background. I'm using blue for mine. I'm just starting with a gentle layer of blue, and I'm going to develop that more later. Just continue to layer those colored pencils, and as you layer them, you'll notice that the appearance of the pencils will really smooth out and you'll stop seeing those little speckles of paper coming through. Now, with a really dark blue, if you have one, just accentuate the darkest parts of the core shadows, maybe those inner areas of the ridges, right around the stem, right underneath your pumpkin. And then begin to develop your background some more. I'm using a light blue for this, and then I'm going to use a white colored pencil on top of the blue to really burnish the colored pencil. I'm also using some orange to add an additional reflection underneath the pumpkin, like it's sitting on something shiny and just reflecting a little bit of color onto that surface. Now I'm using white, and as you can see, just by placing the white all over the background, it's burnishing the colored pencil or flattening it down, almost making it look waxy. At this point, I'm almost finished, so I want to take off the tape and just see what it looks like with its white frame around it. As I pull off the tape, I'm really careful to pull the tape at a 90-degree angle, and I work very slowly so that I don't tear the paper. Sometimes, after removing the tape and stepping back to take a look at your work, you might notice some areas that could use some more development or contrast. And when I looked at mine, I thought that I needed a little bit more contrast underneath the pumpkin. And by adding some red to the blue, it mixed to make a purple, and that ended up being the perfect color, in my opinion, to add a little bit more contrast and interest to my work. So as you can see, you only need a few colored pencils to create a pumpkin drawing. It's really the mixing and layering of the pencils that create the best work. And the more you practice doing it, the better you're going to get. So I hope you get out there this fall and try drawing a pumpkin yourself. Thanks for watching. Bye!